Not a good day. Dang it. Don't want to deal with this today. Good morning, YouTube. It's morning time for me, but it's probably a different time for you. So today we got a little something going on. I am Busy Bee on the Busy Bee GS 750 channel. Today we got something a little bit going on the Peterbilt, and let's hop to it, man. I have a bad radiator. It has been troubling me for 2 whole years. Just making do. But today is something that I gotta do. I gotta work on this truck and get it prepped and ready to put the radiator back in the rig. Now, as you've seen in the background, I have a blue tarp. Well, behind that blue tarp, I have a radiator missing. So let me go ahead and get this tarp off of here. Let's see here. And show you what the heck is going on. Of course, I got the Mustang in pieces right now as well. That'll be another video. Got the shocks knocked loose on the Mustang on the top. I just gotta get the bottoms. Just use a cheap Walmart tarp for right now. Just keep all the water off the motor in the places that I don't want them to go, because I got the condenser on top of the engine. So let's go ahead and yank her off here. It's been raining a little bit the past couple days. Holy smokes, I got the radiator out. Well, what I got to do today is, well, not today, probably be in the next couple days, is I'm waiting on the radiator as we speak, but I'm going to clean all this up real good, and I might do a video on that. I'm going to go ahead and paint the front of the engine so it looks nice. This fan has some fractures in it, so I think we're going to go ahead and grab a fan too from the parts store. Alright, so that's one of the things on my bucket list. Alright, and get that all situated. And motor's still looking good after I spray painted it, you know, to make it look a little better. But what I got to do up here is I'm going to take this top hose off. I'm not going to do it in the video. I'll show you the afters. It's just a long process trying to do a video for one shot for you guys. Eventually, I'll get the editing materials to edit a video and show you step by step of what I've done. But I can kind of give you a gist of how to take this radiator out if you like. I'll show you a step by step of putting it back in. You'll get a gist of, I'll probably show you a step by step by putting it back in, but that's just a matter of how I feel that day when we're doing this. I had some help. I had some big old boys, and we got it knocked loose. As you can see, I got 2 holes right here. There's 2 bolts there. You got 2 bolts up here for the stabilizers to keep it from flopping back and forth going down the road. Then, of course, you got your top hose here, and then you have one going down to the water pump, which is right here, and it goes up top of the reservoir. I'll show you the radiator here in a second. And then you got a hose down below here on the bottom. And then, of course, you got to take the AC condenser off right there, or the cooler, or what you want to call it, which is on the front of the motor. You knock them bolts loose, flip it up top. Be very careful when you do. And then, of course, you got to take your air-to-air cooler for the turbo off, pull that out of here, and then you take your radiator out. But I did the air-to-air first. So this is what we got. We got the air-to-air here, out of the way, off to the side. Of course, you got to drain your coolant. I got this from O'Reilly Auto Parts. It's a 14-gallon tank. You can put a pump on it and reuse it if you wish to do so. I'm not going to reuse the old antifreeze because there's so much crap in it. It didn't look all that great. So we're going to do away with the old antifreeze. I'm going to find a place to recycle it. For right now, it's just going to sit in that container until I can figure it out. You could also use this for oil too, so that's something you think about. It's about 80 bucks from O'Reilly. Just tell me what the big 14-gallon tank. It's even got wheels on it. Pretty nifty, right? So over here, we got the radiator out of the truck. I got it laying on its side for the moment until I can figure out what all I'm going to need for the rig. I don't know exactly all what I'm going to need for this radiator, but I know I'm going to need those big old bolts right there probably. So I got to take the bottom of these bolts off. I can take the shroud off. We're going to reuse the shroud. The hose still looks pretty decent, but a part of me says if I'm changing the radiator, I'm changing all the hose, all the clamps, and making it right, okay? Because they got these cheap hose clamps, man. Dirt cheap. Don't put these on your Pete or any vehicle that you got that's a commercial vehicle, because you get a lot of pressures on them. And I'll show you the correct clamp you'd use, because eventually these will fail. Okay, this is what you use on your garden hose at home. Don't use those. I wouldn't even use one on my car if I had to. So I got to take the shroud off of here. I got to take the brackets off. I'll take the brackets off as well. Get those ready and prepped. I'll probably clean them up real good. Get me a wire brush, clean them up real good, and then there's 2 brackets on each side. That's for the stabilizer bar. And then I'll probably have to get me a new little hose right here for the bottom of the radiator. Okay. And then I might get new fittings as well, because they're so old and crusty. So I don't know if it'd be worth, messing with, because there's so much corrosion inside of this. But my main problem with this radiator I've been having off and on is that when the head gasket was bad, and the head gasket on this truck was bad at one time, so I had a crack in between the 2 piston walls. And I'll explain that here in a minute, how you know you have a bad head on a truck. But a couple weeks back, I had to have them do a little patch repair with some JB Weld or whatever. It was kind of holding, but not holding very well. It was just temporary, just get me by until I can get my radiator. And then along the seams where the bolts go, like on the side here, this is all dry rotted with the rubber gasket. It's hard, it's old, it's probably got quite a few miles on it. I don't know how old this radiator is. It was in the truck when I bought it, but I don't know if they replaced it or not. But this truck had a front-end collision 3-4 years ago. So I don't know what is what in the front of this truck right now, but it shows its age. It's a good looking radiator, but it's leaking around the gaskets and everything. Okay, so I decided it's not worth fixing. Hard telling if it's the right radiator in the truck, because this, look at that, I got corrosion inside this puppy. That ain't good at all, man. Look at all that corrosion in there. I didn't even know I had that in there. So I went ahead and emptied this thing out, and it looked pretty nasty from the bottom of this. So it's time to replace this. It's probably corroding from the inside. So if you see all that corrosion, that's not good at all. You don't want that inside your motor. Now, top hose I'm going to take off as well, like I said earlier, and I'm going to check the inside of that hose as well. Any elbows or anything I got for the rig, I'm going to check them out. I got a few here that go on the bottom of the radiator. The shutoff valve for the drain and all that for the radiator. I'm replacing this because the last time we tried to use it, it wouldn't fully close and kept dripping. So I'm going to replace the elbow. This one seems to be somewhat good still. Inside of it looks pretty good and clean. It just needs a little real good cleaning through. So I'll get some brake cleaner, clean that out real good, rinse it out real good, get all the stuff. And this is looks like it's cast aluminum, which is good because that's what you want for this, is the cast aluminum. Now, what I said for clamps, these are the kind of clamps that you guys need to put on your hoses and stuff. This is a really good clamp, and this is actually what I use for my turbo hoses and stuff. And these hold up very well. They're heavy duty. They clamp real good. These generic ones, they'll work for a while, but they actually strip very easily because it's got those little groove teeth, okay? And they don't hold up very well. Now, these have a groove tooth, but you got to be careful, and it's very heavy duty how it is compared to the old Walmart hose clamp is what I call it. It's cheap. It don't hold up very well. And I actually got some good ones right here for my air-to-air, okay? This is what I use for those applications because they don't strip. They don't give you that much problems. You know how tight it is. You know that it's going to hold up very well for a long time, and it's less hassle. I've had those cheap ones on here, and within a few months, I had to turn back around. Probably within 6 to 8 months, I had to change those out because they were leaking. So I learned my lesson. Stinking cat, I swear. He's always in the mischief. But I heard something go up there and stupid cat on top of the truck. But anyway, that's what's going on with the Pete. Now, how I knew I had a bad head gasket. Now, some people's going to go, all right, you had a bad head gasket, but how did you know? Well, the easy telltale signs on most head gaskets, either you got water in your oil or oil in your water system. So basically oil in your radiator or water in your on your dipstick of your truck. And it's a milky white substance when it mixes. Excuse me. And I didn't have that on my truck. Basically what's going on with my truck was it was overheating for one. And then it was overheating when I would do a good hard pull. And then after it would overheat, you'd have to let it cool off a little bit, and then it would run kind of rough for a few minutes, and then it'd straighten out. Now the other telltale sign is like on the overflow. It was puking a little bit of antifreeze in the overflow to the point where you could tell there was air coming out of the overflow. And what you should do is you take a cup of water. And if you don't know what the overflow is, it's the top of your radiator, okay? This would be sitting upward. I got it laying on its side right now because it was so heavy. My brother and my nephew helped me pull this off. But here's your overflow tube, if you have one. It's usually at the top of the radiator or your reservoir. And what they did was they took this, put it in a cup of water. If it bubbles, you got a blown head gasket, for sure. And what it was doing, it was pushing air into the radiator. From the piston, and then it turned back around. It was causing the pressure of the radiator to leak, and all those pressures were so high it about busted my radiator, and I didn't even know it, and I didn't know why it was doing it for so long. And then I actually had a good mechanic look at it, and there was no near mechanic. If you know the near fixes, actually told me what was going on. I had 2 different mechanics said I had a bad head gasket. One tell me it was good, and that was from near. And, yeah. So, it needed it from the get-go, and it was a bad head on it from the get-go. But, you know, you live and learn from your mistakes, slowly but surely. Anyway, but that's what's going on right now. The radiator is out for right now. And as you can see, you know, it was possible for me to take this out. I have the proper tools. And what I'm using right now in tools, I have an impact set, 3/4 impact set from Harbor Freight. It was a 15/16 for the bottom bolts. And a few wrenches from Harbor Freight. Now that was from Harbor Freight too. This is from Harbor Freight, some of these tools. The socket set I've used a lot on the Pete. I got the earthquake impact, and I'm going to get me a smaller impact here soon. I got all these tools in my bag. They're all from Harbor Freight mostly, and other pieces I've grabbed over the past few years. The bag came from Harbor Freight as well. So, except for these 2, this drill and the small little impact drill, I got it from somewhere else, but I use these mostly in the Pete, or I use them at home quite a bit. But that's fixing the chains. I'm ready to leave these at the house. And then that's about it, folks. Of course, I kept my nuts and bolts and everything together. I am going to get new rubber bushings to put on the radiator for the sides. There's my neighbor's dog. He's back again. Axel, what are you doing here? Go home. You're back again, aren't you, buddy? Go home, Axel. Go on, go home. He is one cute doggy. But I know where he lives. He got loose again. But, yeah, there's rubber bushings that go here. They're dry rotted. So we're going to put new rubber bushings. But But anyway, that's Axel. He made a YouTube appearance. He lives about 4 or 5 blocks down the road. Keeps getting loose. But anyway, that's it, folks. That's it. That's part of the game, you know. We took this out. I'm gonna take apart what I need to take apart today, and then also I got hoses from the firewall on back. I got to replace, and on over to the other tank. I got heated tanks on the Pete, so I'm gonna put a shutoff valve on this as well, because when I did this years ago, I just did it for the heater core. Right, ran these little valves back here. You can shut them on and off, but they're hard to turn. My fingers just can't handle them. So I'm lazy. I'll put a big valve on it right here while it's all drained, and all I gotta do is just turn the knob and I'm done. So this was a Lowe's special. I got a fitting with a male end, slipped it over it, and just put it all together. And these are just regular shutoff valves for like your house, as all those are, and they could withstand the heat just fine. I've had them on there for probably a good 8-9 years, and it was on there. I put them on there in a Lowe's parking lot down in Texas years ago, and I clamped it all off and got it all done. But as I was saying, is that underneath here, I'll show you real quick. Right here, I got old hoses underneath here, and they're just so old and dry rotted that they need replaced. And you can see the frame is really rusty. But yeah, we're just gonna replace these guys. Every one of them's getting replaced. It's gonna be time consuming, but it's preventive maintenance. A lot of people don't do prevention. I love doing prevention because that's less time on the off the road. When you do prevention, when you can, get it all fixed while it's apart, so you don't have to go back later and fix, which causes more problems. So if you have time for prevention, do the prevention if you have the money and the time, and get it done. I've been down for 2 weeks now because I was waiting on the rear ends on the truck to get fixed. And by the way, about the rear ends on the truck, so they had to replace the bearings on this part of the rear end, and then their bearings inside the front differential part. All this, they replaced all the bearings in it as well, and some of the bearings for like the axle that goes into the carrier and all that other good stuff. I don't know how all this works, but all I know is that it was chipping away slowly and it was going bad. So this is now fixed. I had a vibration on this truck for good 2 years off and on, and we finally nailed it down to I had a bad rear end the whole entire time. And that's after it was put in. So vibration wasn't gone. It was a brand new rear end and it wasn't gone. So Weller, if you see this, you built one that was bad, and I've been dealing with it for 2 years. So, and then I put a new drive shaft on this thing, you know, a newer drive shaft right here, of course. I got that from the junkyard, and then put new U-joints on this thing. I mean, all the way through, from here all the way up is new. So we shouldn't have any more vibrations. But I do have a tire shake. We got to find out which tire is causing the little bit of a shake. I haven't figured that out. Even the transmission's new on the truck, so shouldn't have any more problems out of this daggum truck. But yeah, and we're getting ready to get some fenders for the fenders for the front of the tire here. I'm gonna get them all the way down and slammed a little bit. I'm not doing full fenders. The problem I got with full fenders is you can't see the whole tire, what's going on with the whole tire. And I had them on here before. I liked them, yes, but the problem is I couldn't really see the tire and check on my tires like I need to. And it'd be different if it was a show truck, but this is not a show truck. This is a work truck for right now. But it'll eventually be a show truck one of these days, and I'll actually have the time and the money to redo it. And I'm looking forward to possibly, maybe in the next couple years, to expand what I'm trying to do and park this old girl, get a new truck, and maybe put a team in a truck. But I won't be teaming. The people in the truck will be teaming. So that's how I want to do it. But anyway, if you like this video, give it a good thumbs up. And remember, all things are possible. I did this by myself at first, but I had to have a couple strong people with me to yank it out. So thanks to T-Hook, Ray, and Little T, you know, if it wasn't for you guys, we wouldn't be able to get this out. I was up in the grill, and I lifted over to them as far as I could, and they helped me pull the rest of the way out. And it's great to have your family around when you need them the most. And I was trying to figure out how to get this out by myself. I almost put a mechanism up on top of the garage to be able to yank it out if I had to, you know, but I figured it out. And of course, you know, one thing you'll have to do to be able to get in here and get this done. You'll have to disconnect the hood from the springs, the cables and stuff on both sides. Have somebody hold the hood for you while you're doing that, and then prop it up with a proper deal. I just used a car rim and a cooler for right now because I know it's not that heavy holding it up. But that's just for right now until we get the truck back together. And of course, Mustang's still in pieces for the brakes and stuff. When we got a look at the brakes, my homeboy said check a couple things back there, and they're just shot, but they're the originals. It's time to replace, so I've decided we're just going to replace the calipers on the rear. I got the shocks all loose. As you can see, I got them all knocked loose. So we'll catch you later, y'all. Be safe. Remember, all things possible. Peace. I'm gone here later, and God bless.